Hi technicians, it's Jen from DraftLine, and today we're going to walk through the latest release of the DraftLine Smart System mobile application. So up at the top, I want to show you a few things once you get logged in with your email address and password, which you will receive at your startup meeting. The default on this page will be next. If you click on by date, up at the right hand corner, you'll see this small calendar icon. You click on that. This is how you bounce around on the days and view what is on your schedule. Now, just because you can do that doesn't mean that we don't want you to work on the day that is scheduled always. So a golden rule on DraftLine is work on your accounts that are scheduled for that day. Never ever work outside of a calendar week. Always, always, always let us know if you are working off days so we can move those trips and make sure they line up. On DraftLine, we have one-time trip changes and permanent trip changes, so recurring trip change. You always have to notify us if, for instance, we've got the Labor Day holiday coming up. If you can't clean those accounts on a Monday because of the holiday, that's one thing. That's a one-time change. Or if you can't ever clean a certain account on the day that it's normally scheduled for, that's what we call a permanent change. So you have to permanently change that schedule moving forward. So make sure when you contact the DraftLine Cloud Support team that you help us with those verbal cues to let us know what type of change you want. We'll always ask you, whether you email, text, call, let us know. As well, identify yourself the first couple of times that you contact cloud support. That's really helpful for us. And always, always, always work on day. So up the top left, we have these three bars. And this is where you can see which version of the mobile application you have under About. And so it's under app version, and you want to make sure that you always have your auto updates on and you keep that rolling. If not, you've got to go to the Google Play Store and update. As well, if we click on those three bars again and we go to the little camera icon next to my photo, this is where we can either add a photo for our profile picture. We've got some pretty cute selfies out there, or we can choose a photo from our camera roll. The first time you go to take a photo on DraftLine, you will have a pop-up that asks you to allow DraftLine to work with the memory on your camera, and you have to allow that to let it work properly. If at any point on the pop-ups when you're downloading the app initially, you'll see a couple that ask to let DraftLine work with Google Maps, and I can't remember what the second one is, but I think it's notifications. You definitely want to allow those. If you don't choose correctly and you block those, you can always uninstall the app and re-download and just be more mindful when you're clicking through those. And as well, when we go to take a TAP survey for the first time, there will be a long disclaimer that says, hey, we want you to take this TAP survey super serious and give us the most accurate, best up-to-date information you possibly can. You will have to allow that to move forward as well. So back to our route for the day. As we go through DraftLine, it doesn't matter to us what time you clean the accounts, but you will see here they are sequenced in order to line up my day. But as we go through the startup process for each of our wholesalers and third-party service centers, we definitely want to make sure that it's lined up in a way where if you are on vacation, you're not leaving the person that's picking up your route with an utter mess. We want to make sure as we move through that startup process that we get all the kinks ironed out and that your route is laid out in the optimal way from first stop to last stop every day. Now, we already know that it's not always going to execute like that, but that's where we expect you to help us make it easier for people to act as a floater or a fill-in for you when you're not there. So we want to make sure that we pay attention to that, and that's what you're going to use the route change form for. So that being said, it doesn't matter what time you're doing the line cleanings throughout the day, but at the end of the startup process, we expect that to be lined up. And right here, I'm going to dive into our first line cleaning, and this is the Town Pump Tavern. So I'm going to click on that trip. This is what we call the overview page. We have a Google-generated photo up at the top. We have a date, an address, and you can click on that to get directed. We also have the date and the time of the line cleaning, that when it is scheduled, and then the trip title is underneath that. You can either email, call, get directions with these three icons to the center right of the screen. We, of course, have to have the phone number. If we do not have the phone number within DraftLine, we're really happy if you send it to us. We'll get it added for you so you can use that functionality later. Underneath that, trip title, line cleaning, super important. We have line cleaning trips, service trips, installation trips. And then under that, we have all the technicians associated with the trip. This one is obviously me. And we've got my avatar photo. And to the very far right of the screen is this little alien icon. That means I'm the foreman for this particular trip. So I'm responsible for the checkout options. So I will now work from left to right up at the top, and I'm going to click on the circle with the check mark. And you are going to see first the safety first guidelines. All of my technicians, gloves and goggles, always please. And if you can use pH paper as well, that's an excellent way to ensure safety throughout the process. So at the bottom right, first thing we are going to do is check into the account. We're checking in by simply clicking this green circle with the arrow. Click, it's going to turn blue. We want you to check in by your vehicle outside prior to entering the account, because one of the great things that we can do is auto trigger reports that will tell the customers when we were there, how long we were there for. We don't do that in the beginning. Usually it's 2 to 4 weeks in, but we want to make sure that we keep a very accurate time accounting, okay? And that's one of the ways we do it. You check in when you arrive before you go into the building. On your way out, when we go to check out and set the status, again, we're going to do that out by our vehicle after we've loaded everything back on the truck when we're ready to go. That gives us our accurate time accounting, and we always want to show the maximum amount of service time that we were at any given account. So now in the middle of the screen, this is a very typical line cleaning. You're going to see the line cleaning circle and the faucet circle. So I'm going to dive into our line cleaning steps with the gray circle. Up at the top, you see the system type glycol, and then we're always going to check at least 2 boxes in this section to reflect which type of process we used. Up at the top, you see a recirculation line cleaning or a static line cleaning. I'm going to show you what a static line cleaning looks like on DraftLine because that's what 97% of the market does. So up at the top, first box you always check is regular maintenance, no matter which process you're using, static or recirc. And then you scroll down and you're going to click the static button. Every time we put check marks in, we have to save them and send them back. So in this instance, we've done regular maintenance and static. At the very bottom right, we're going to click the green circle with the check mark, and that is going to automatically pop us back to the tasks page. And you'll get a little updated pop-up. And so let's go back and look at that one more time. Regular maintenance and static. And then we saved. Let's pretend that we actually did a recirculation cleaning. And heck, maybe we even did an acid cycle. So regular maintenance, recirc, acid. And again, we're going to override what we had previously entered and click save at the bottom right. So this is something that you guys are doing multiple times a day. It's not rocket science. We just have to make sure that we're clicking those 2 boxes. So that's our line cleaning process, and we're recording that. It's very important that we're accurate because that flows all the way through to our equity reports for the breweries that we service. And if we're doing it right at this level, it makes it much easier all along the way. So then we're going to dive into our faucets. And this is what we now call the System Builder page. We had an old style faucet page that we had retired on this latest update that we'll release this week. And this is, in essence, going to be your most time-consuming page because there's a lot of things to put in here. We're going to verify which faucets we're cleaning by clicking the check boxes to the left. We're also going to be inputting the brand names we're cleaning. Now, the first time my technicians go in, there will be no brands on the faucets. It will be totally numeric. So as 18 and 19 are an example of that. Every time you walk in, every time you do a line cleaning through DraftLine, you're going to take a tower and tap survey as if you were the bartender standing in front of the tower. Faucet number 1 is on your far left. The last faucet is on your very far right. So bartender view, left to right labeling. Anybody who has any questions on that, always contact us on support or contact me directly, but make sure it's bartender view, left to right. And we have to track not only our brands, but also our competitors' brands. So if you're an independent third-party company, you may be cleaning everything when you walk into the account. If you're a beer wholesaler or distributor, you're only cleaning the lines associated with your brands that you distribute. And You want to make sure that you put check marks next to the ones that you're cleaning. Okay, now there's a shortcut that we have added up here at the top. You can select all serviceable faucets and it will auto check mark the lines that belong to your company. That being said, you've got to make sure that you take the tap survey first, update everything, and then use that button. So just for the example, I'm going to say that I use the select all serviceable faucets and save that at the bottom right. Okay, and that's going to update and save my check marks for all the lines I cleaned. But you always want to scroll down and physically look at these and make sure that it looks good and all the check marks that you have should be there, or for all the lines that you cleaned. Now, as well, we are going to take our tap survey. So we want to make sure, again, bartender view left to right, that we're entering all the brands. So as an example, I'm going to go back to lines 18 and 19. I'm going to click on the pencil, and the only thing that I have to enter here is the brand. Forget the distributor because that's all on the back end now. So for instance, I'm going to type in BUD. The first three letters brings up everything associated with that spelling that exists within DraftLine. And so I'll click on Bud Light, click OK. And then on faucet number 18, we should see that pop up. So you do. So Bud Light is in the system already, and a gear has popped up, and that becomes a serviceable faucet. So again, you want to make sure that you enter all the brands first before you select that select all serviceable faucets button and have your tap survey up to date first thing on this page, and then you can go into the other functions. Now, as an example, on faucet number 19, I'm going to enter something that does not belong in the system. So I'm going to click on brand. So I'm going to say Royal Oak IPA. Now this is something that is not recognized in DraftLine, so there's nothing coming up in the drop down menu, I should say. And that's okay, because you're going to have lots of small micro brands out there that we don't recognize. So you want to make sure that you have flexibility to enter those things, and this is the way we do it. So type it in, and I will click OK, and we'll go back to faucet number 19 after DraftLine has accepted that, and you will see the difference between faucet 18 and 19. With 18, DraftLine recognized that Bud Light, assigned it to the brewery and the wholesaler right away, and it was good to go. On faucet number 19, DraftLine doesn't have that brand already, so it goes into what we call the pending status, and a person has to go and look at it, make all the associations, and then within 24 hours, that should be updated. So when you go in next time, everything will save, and you only have to change the ones that have rotated. So say, for instance, faucet number 2 is no longer Stella. We're going to click on the pencil, hit the X to back out Stella, and we're going to say this one is Miller Lite. Okay, click Miller Lite, click OK, and that should update. And we'll just give it a second. And so again, you see those changes pop up right away. This is something that we just added in the last couple of months, and it really gives a lot more visibility to the technicians. So the brand up at the top, say for instance on faucet number 20, and the brand at the bottom are sometimes matching, and other times you see what's in the pending part underneath the number 20 Bud Light. So keep your eye out for that. As long as we have gotten, or you have gotten the message that, hey, faucet request saved and received, you're good to go. Now, on this page as well, if you have 15 faucets or over to enter, make sure that you contact support. 15 or over, we will enter for you. Okay, so if you have massive beer systems out there, 20, 30, 120, we've seen up to, I think, 306 or 309 faucets per system. You're not going to ever enter those. You're going to get that information to DraftLine Cloud Support either through photos, notes, contacting the support DraftLine Cloud Support directly. However you can get the information to us, you can write it on a napkin and take a photo of that. We'll get it in. But when you go back the next time, if you've just had 1 or 2 changes that can be easily done by this click on the pencil function, we expect you to do those. So make sure you help us, and make sure you let us know that you can use DraftLine correctly, and that will help us move a lot faster. Now, faucet number 15, you see how this says open? Open is a valid answer on DraftLine because that means that there's a tap or faucet there. There's real estate that we want to pick up. So we want to make sure that we track those open faucets on the correct faucet number and make sure that you enter where there is no beer pouring as well. Okay, that's really important. So, that being said, when you get done with this, of course, all the faucets will have brands, and it's really important that every single time you go into the market and you go into an account, that you keep this up to date when you have a scheduled line cleaning. As well, you will see just under where it says select all serviceable faucets that this is a glycol system with a main bar, tower 1, and not to make you dizzy, but I'm going to scroll all the way down and you're going to see there's a second tower here. If that information is not correct on what we call the system builder, so say it's not a glycol system, it's a direct draw system, and it's not a main bar, it's a service bar with 3 towers, whatever, eight faucets each. Give us that information. Tell us before you start to populate your system builder. And as soon as you get that into cloud support, it's 10 minutes or less for us to fix those issues, especially because this is super time sensitive. We will say, okay, just refresh your phone. We're all done. Or give us 2 minutes and then refresh your phone. All you have to do is pull down with your finger on the screen. It will contact the server and everything will update for you, okay? And if something's not correct for whatever reason, you text us back and say, hey, Jen, or hey, Heather, we've got to make sure there's one other thing. So we want to make sure that we scope out and document all the beer systems. If you tell us this at the beginning of your service, if there is a mistake on one of your system builders, it's way faster for us to get that fixed at the beginning before you populate. So just remember that. And that's something that might deviate as you use DraftLine a little bit longer. You only have to do that once at every account unless they've added some new tower or something like that. So make sure you take a look in the early days, very early in the service once you get into the building, and then communicate back to us if something is not correct. On DraftLine, we only have direct draw, air-cooled, and glycol systems. So you want to make sure that all of that is matching up with the correct stations. The nomenclature is just something that should be easy for somebody else to understand if they walk in. Same thing with getting, the days sequenced. And then, of course, the number of towers and number of faucets on each of those tower, left to right. So that being said, there's a lot of information on this system builder page to keep up, but most of it's done in the first week. And then from there, it's just maintenance, or the first service, I should say. So from here, I'm going to go to the top right of the screen and click on Notes. And down at the bottom right, if you click on the pencil, this is where we can either add a photo or choose a photo from camera roll. So here I'm going to click on the camera and you get to see the office. I'm going to click on the photo and the green circle with the check mark. And that is, I'm then going to go up to the top right corner and click that blue paper airplane, and you will see that that is sent. As well, if I would like to take a note, I'm going to click the pencil and I'm going to say, okay, say for instance, I went in to service this account and they said too busy for lunch. I need to document that. This is what we would call a no work performed status. So anytime we go into an account and for whatever reason they don't let us service, we always have to document why. So too busy for lunch. Another very common one is no brands. So no brands for your wholesaler on draft. Again, I'm going to type that in, then I'm going to hit that little white paper airplane to the top right. Another one would be closed for remodel. So these are all really, really, really important notes. Again, hit that paper airplane at the top right. This all becomes searchable on DraftLine, and it makes everything so much easier for everybody. So if we document everything as we should every single time we go into each of our accounts, this minimizes the contact points where I need to come back to you and ask, hey, what happened here? Why couldn't you clean there? So make sure that you over communicate with us. Get the information in, and any time we have an account where you cannot complete the service for whatever reason, if it's refused, whatever, you have to enter that, okay? It's really, really, really important. So from there, I'm going to hit the back button at the top left, And this is going to bring me back to the tasks page. So we've done our line cleaning steps and we've done our faucet cleaning steps, which both say partially, and that's as it should be, especially if you are a third-party company that cleans for a certain set of wholesalers in your market, or if you're a beer wholesaler that is only cleaning for your brands. You're never going to do all of those steps usually, and if you do, you'll know. So then from here, we have already done the notes and the photos. Second to last thing we're going to do is go to the $ tab, which we call the expenses tab, and collect a signature. So we're going to click on the pencil, and when I have my technicians grab signatures, I don't want an X. I do not ever want your name. I want the name of somebody at the account signing. So right here, I'm going to put Sophia H. Click OK, and then you can sign across the screen. And of course, I'm signing my own name, which is what I just told you not to do. But I've signed, and up at the top right, I'm going to click again that white airplane, and you will see that that uploads. And that's it. We're done with our service. So we're going to clean everything up, head back out to the vehicle, load all of our supplies on our truck, and this is where we're going to go to checkout. So at the bottom right, I'm going to click this blue circle where it says checkout. This brings up the checkout options. Completed is what we really like to see. You came, you saw, you conquered. You finished the job. Partially completed, we don't ever use for line cleaning. That's for service and installation only. And then no work performed. No work performed means that you showed up to do your job to clean those lines, but for whatever reason you were refused. Like we said, too busy for lunch, no brands, nobody home, closed for remodel, whatever it is. Whenever you put in a no work performed status, I need a note. Absolutely 100% need a note. Don't let me catch you not doing that. But for this one, I'm going to mark it as completed, and that's going to bring us back to the trips page. So you're going to see right here this green circle with a check mark. Now, I'm going to show you a couple other things on another line cleaning. I'm going to go to my tasks page. I'm going to check in. And on this one, I want to show you really quickly. I forgot to tell you how to add a faucet. So on each tower, if you click the plus sign, this will let you add a faucet to a tower, and it goes to the far right. So faucet number 1 is on your left. The last faucet is on your far right. Say there's 8 faucets existing currently. This would be a new faucet number 9. And for this one, I will put in Bud again, click Bud Light, click OK, and that's off and running. That function is great for 1, 2, maybe 3, but if you have 15 or 20 faucets to add, don't do that. Remember, on DraftLine, the magic rule is 15 faucets or over. We'll add the information for you, and you can't see what's pending there, so you want to make sure that you have us add it so we can assign it to the trip, which is a whole other conversation, but that's an important point. So let's say we checked into this one and we got refused for service, and so we are going to say no brands as an example, and then we will send that with the paper airplane at the top right. And of course I won't get a signature because there's nobody there to sign for us, say for example, and then I'm going to go back to checkout. And I'll click this checkout button, and this one I will set as no work performed. And you will see here the gray circle. So the green circle with the check mark is completed. The gray circle means no work performed. That doesn't mean I can't still go check in and override that. So say for instance they get a beer delivery later that day and I have the opportunity to go back and pick it up. I can go in, check regular maintenance always. I'm going to perform a static cleaning at this account. I'm going to save that at the bottom right. And then I'm going to go into faucets. And of course, I've just done that faucet update, but I'll show you an example, and we'll click the faucet that we serviced at the bottom right. We'll save. And then we'll go back to the tasks page. Let's say we can grab a signature here. And I'm just going to go with my own name. Click OK. And then at the top right again, send that signature. And everything is time-stamped on our notes and our photos technician. So it's really, really important that I have you update that while you're in the account on site, especially those tap surveys. Don't ever go an extended period of time, or don't ever leave an account without entering all the data that I need while you're on site. If that happens, you have to contact support and let us know why. because it will raise some questions on the reports. As well, we're going to go back and we're going to check out and we're going to override this no work performed status to completed. And you will see here on the trips page that National Coney is now completed with a check mark. Or maybe we actually had done Big Buck, but regardless, the name of the game at the end of the day is to make sure that all of these trips are in the completed status, although I know that's not always going to happen. When it doesn't happen, that's when you contact support. So good luck, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed the updates. Those are for my technicians to make your life easier and make DraftLine faster for you to use. Any questions, let us know. Safe travels. Thanks, guys and gals.